Guys, welcome back to the Conquerors crew. I think maybe, no, yeah, for sure. I think I've got the story of the year with me today. And so, I'm going to build the suspense a little bit. Okay. And I always got to do the pillars first, right? The three pillars of the Conquerors crew. There's three of those. And if my guest doesn't mind just hearing these out, and if one of these resonates with you when I get finished, I'll ask you. And if you like one, we'll talk about that for just a second, right? Okay, so guys, man, I'm so excited about this show. You have no idea. Okay, the first pillar that we have is hope, and that stands for helping other people excel. And we like to kind of hope that if you're really having a rough day, you're having a hard time, and you just muster up a little bit of something and you can give it away, that it's going to come back to you that much faster. I didn't make the rule. I just know it works that way. And I think we have somebody that knows that rule very well, and that kind of law of the universe. And you'll know what I mean when we get into the story. Okay. The second one is grit. Okay. And grit, the G stands for grace. And I'm not talking about the kind of grace where somebody screws up and you say, okay, that's all good. I'm talking about, hey, the reminder of a little grace with yourself. Quit being so hard on yourself, right? For those of you out there that do that. And the R is for resilience. And people always say, oh man, you had cancer 3 times, and how did you do that? I could never do that. Resiliency can be built. We all have some certain characteristics, but you can't run an Ironman the first time you exercise. You got to practice a little bit. So you got to get your skills up before you're going to go, play in the big leagues, right? Okay. The I, that's for integrity. And again, my grace, I'm not talking about the kind of integrity that you're like, hey, you over there, you're breaking the rules. I'm talking about at 3:00 in the morning, we're up because you can't sleep, and you look yourself in the mirror. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you having integrity with yourself? And T, that's for teachable. And I think we all know that we've all gotten a little cocky and we thought we knew a little more than we did. And guess what happens? That kind of little law happens, and you get knocked right off your high horse, right? You get embarrassed, you get humbled. And so I like to try to remain teachable in all, situations and everything. And hey, I'm learning until I go to the next place, right? And then, hey, the last one, it just goes with it. So hope, grit, and no quit. Those are 3 pillars. Some of you guys know them. Some of you guys are new. And hey, thanks for being here today on the Conquerors crew. Susan Allardyce is our guest today. Thank you, Susan. I am so pleased to have you. How are you today? Tell us what's going on.
I'm doing great, Trent. And I think everybody should know that you and I have gone back to college years, and that we actually used to even be next door neighbors during college. That you used to start the morning revving up your Harley, your bike, and waking up the whole neighborhood with.
Are you there? I think it's skipping a little bit. Is it?
What?
Was it skipping
Okay,
on your
I
side?
was trying to tell everybody that we used to be neighbors in college.
Well, and you do remember we had a class together? Do you remember that we had
a class together, but we were next door neighbors, yes.
I'm gonna have to admit this. 25 years, I had a little bit of a crush on you.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I know. I was too scared to talk to you because you acted like you were really you're really smart, and you acted like you were super smart, and I knew that I wasn't. And we were in that computer class, weren't we? Golly,
oh
in
my
the
gosh,
biology building or something.
Class back when there was DOS prompts. So we're aging ourselves right now.
Oh man, you're dating me, man. Don't date me. Don't date me like that.
No, I was talking about Everett Street duplex.
Oh, Everett Street. Yes.
Yes.
Everett Street. Yes.
And you had a motorcycle, and you when you were going to the class, I don't know how long you had to start a motorcycle before you get on it. You started yours quite early and you just leave it running.
Oh yeah.
You know. Anyway, I just think
I
that
just, I wanted everybody in Ruston to know that where I was going and what I was doing. Like
I
they didn't
just
have
think
GPS
everybody
back
needs to
then.
know. Yeah, everybody needs to know that that's how far back we go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what? I know, man. That seriously, the Harleys, like you really are supposed to kind of warm them up before you really go.
Well, you did.
And
It was always it's very warmed up. You never
oh,
touch a Harley.
I had some of the neighbors come over and go like, like we're all in college, right? And they're like, they come over, it's like, it's 9 a.m. It's so
Mhm.
early. Can you just please
Please.
not? And I'm like,
But you know what? Most of
that
our
was a nice
neighbors,
thing to say. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice that people asked you. And I'm like, you know what? You weren't rude about it. No problem. The rest
most
of the
of our
quarter.
neighbors didn't mind though because they were all dead because there was a cemetery directly across the street.
So,
I'm telling all the
yeah.
tales
So
just
Susan and
right
I
off
go
the
way
bat.
back. We go way back. We
Yes,
knew
we
each
go
other
way
in
back.
college, and she married one of my fraternity brothers and one of my really good friends, and they live in Lafayette now. And they have 2 kids, and they're beautiful and they're wonderful. And wow, I mean, it's so cool. Now, you're originally from West Monroe, isn't that right?
That's right. I grew up in West Monroe. My family's all Mississippi, but my dad moved us to Louisiana when I was a little kid. And so I grew up in West Monroe, North Louisiana, found my home in South Louisiana later on. Jared and I just love it down here. And yeah, we've made our life here, but North Louisiana is my roots, and you can hear it in my voice. I
Sure,
can't get
sure.
rid of the twang. I will never be mistaken as Cajun. So, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. People from Louisiana know the difference between the North and the South, and everybody outside of it doesn't. And it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, we just got to get this out of the way now. I mean, West Monroe. I mean, did the Duck Dynasty guys try to date you in high school? And
Definitely not. No, I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
know those
they were
people.
nobodies, weren't they? I mean, who knew
I didn't
them?
know that, but I was fascinated when it all became such a thing. But no, I
Yeah,
don't know any of them. Uh, but I'm
yeah, yeah.
happy for them. Like I think they put West Monroe on the map. Other than
No
football,
doubt. No doubt they
duck
did.
calls.
I know, and it's really cool that they're Christians and they have a message and
Yeah,
like they're good dudes and they got good families and they've all made mistakes and
true.
I like it. I think they're really good examples, for the country, right? And just for people in general. So
I mean, Louisiana is such a melting pot of different types of cultures, and North Louisiana has its own thing. South Louisiana has its own thing. New Orleans has its own thing. We're really a unique state, I have to say.
yeah, man, I don't think there's any people like people from Louisiana, like the personality, the styles, and the color. I mean, like it's unique all in its own. I mean, we have parishes, like we live in parishes. No other state does that. It's
Right?
just a little bit by you, baby.
It's different for sure.
Golly, hey, it's not often that I get to kind of reminisce for a few minutes with someone that I know.
I know.
On
Well, I couldn't just pretend that you and I don't know each other because we do. We've known each other for how many years now?
I mean,
Um,
30.
26
I
or
mean,
yeah,
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 yeah, it wouldn't be 30.
pretty
Yeah,
much
it would be,
30.
yeah,
Pretty much 30.
yeah,
Yeah, you know
yeah,
what? This is
not
my
quite.
my 30th high school reunion year. So yeah,
Oh
30.
my, yeah, close. Golly, isn't it nuts? Isn't it nuts,
It is.
man? Yeah. So hey guys, we know each other. I mean, I thought it was so cool that Jared and Susan got together. They went over to a cool program that Louisiana Tech had, which was over in Europe in Rome, right? And
Yeah.
you were there, and Jared was there, and a couple of the other of our fraternity brothers were there, and
Yes.
that's where you and Jared kind of got together, isn't that right?
That is right. I met Jared in
Yeah, so
Rome.
cool.
I
Yeah,
met I met a I met a Southern boy from Louisiana in Rome, Italy, during college. And he was such a chivalrous gentleman that he carried my bags up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken. And he said he did it for all the girls, but he really did it because he wanted to impress me particularly. That's his story. That's his story. And
Man, that guy,
we,
golly.
you know,
You know,
we hung out in Rome. He was an art major, so he was my personal tour guide for all the museums in Italy and all the basilicas and churches, and it was he had an advantage with his fine arts major
right.
to impress a girl, and it worked. So on the way home, I was like, well, it was really nice to get to know you, but I know when we get home, it's fine. And he was like,
Right.
wait a second, are you trying to break up with me
Oh,
right now?
did you calling me a fling? You were like, was he insulted that you were like calling him a fling?
Little bit, yeah. He was like, wait, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. So we had a date in Ruston after that, and the rest is,
I mean, yeah, then you knew it was for real, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
of
the
course.
thing I love is that you had to go, to another continent, a quarter of the way around the world, to meet somebody from your home state, that goes to your college, and it wouldn't have happened otherwise, right? It would
I mean,
not.
but you know what? When we start talking about my story and what we're here to talk about,
Yeah,
is it surprising? No, that's just the way that life's mysteries work.
I, I couldn't agree more.
You know,
I couldn't agree
who
more.
knows what's around the corner for
Yeah,
anybody?
yeah,
You
yeah.
can meet the love of your life in the most unexpected place, or you could meet a family member. Let me just say,
Yeah. Oh, this kind of
yeah.
segues into where we're going with this. So,
Life never. I
yeah,
will. I guess I'm surprised by life, but I shouldn't be, because life just comes at you in unexpected, unusual ways.
yeah, yeah. Well, you got the big guy upstairs, kind of guiding you, and so do I. And man, it's great. It's great to have him on your team, isn't it? Golly,
Yes.
yeah. I don't know where
Yes.
I'd be without it. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that. I mean, I still, make mistakes and things, but God, it's nice to have God, Jesus, and all that, like, your side. And some of the things that have happened in your life in the last few years, they just they're just not coincidence,
No,
right? And
not at
that's
all.
that's kind
You
of
know,
how I feel about my cancer journey and some of the things that lined up. It's like, guy, I mean, this is like I'd have to win the lottery like 4 times in a row,
the
you
things
know.
that you've been through,
So
um, and the miracles that you've seen are amazing. And the things
the
that,
miracles that have happened to me, about me, with me, and hey, man, I'm just trying to hold my end of the promise that I will, that if I was going to be able to beat that and be here, some way, that I would be doing what I'm doing right now. So, hey,
I mean, to tell the stories of other people who've been through uh, so many different, I've watched a lot of your podcasts, and the stories are also different of what people have been through
yeah,
in this life. And I think
yeah,
there's just no limit and no amount of incredible stories out there of how people have overcome what's been put in front of them. And I think
absolutely,
your message of hope for people who have experienced obstacles, um, is so important because people need to hear that.
yeah,
My brother, who we'll get into his story,
yeah,
he needed that hope. He needed some reassurance
yeah,
that his life wasn't over, and
hmm
he just felt so lost
yeah,
during the worst times of his life.
hmm
And so I think what you're doing is great
I
because you're
appreciate it.
shining light on the good parts of it and on the possibilities that there's
Yeah,
miracles out there. Because I do truly feel like I was part of a miracle. And
No
I
doubt.
think I think some people maybe, and I'm Gen X.
Yeah,
I,
me too.
so look, I'm a I can be a pessimist a lot, all day. Like, I'm not a woo woo hippie. You know what? Most of the time, I'm like, don't. I don't want to meditate. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But you know what? There are beautiful miracles, and there are
Yeah.
bright spot
Yeah.
bright spots in
Yeah.
this world. And I've I don't I've opened my heart and my mind to a lot of that, even to
Yeah.
meditation, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Me too.
But
Me too. I could kind of do that. It's just, yeah,
it,
really.
but that doesn't come naturally to my generation,
Yeah, not at all.
you
So,
know. And so I think that what you're doing is great, and I'm excited that you
thank you.
asked me to tell my story. So go ahead, ask me
Yeah.
what you want to
Hey,
know.
you know what? We're just going to start from really kind of the beginning. And the beginning was, I'm just going to open it up and then you can fill us in on the details. Your dad and another lady got together and they got married,
Yeah,
and you and your dad moved in to their house, and this lady had a son.
close.
And
Kind of like
so
that.
you
Yeah,
had a brother. You had a brother the next day.
brand
That was it,
new
right?
brother. Yeah. So I'll even back it up a little bit further for you, Trent.
Yeah.
I was adopted at birth
Oh,
by
okay.
a man and a woman who couldn't have kids of their own. So I was never related to my father or my mother who adopted me. And then he was widowed. And so he was single and he remarried. And
Yeah.
then he remarried again. He was not lucky in love, but
Oh,
in his second marriage, he married my stepmom, and I gained a stepbrother. His name is Hampton. He was
okay.
my first younger sibling. I have some
Okay.
older step siblings. He is my only, to this day, because my dad was married a few more times. But
Okay.
he is my only younger sibling. And
Right.
so for the first time, I was the older sister, and I wasn't thrilled about it in the beginning because I was I think I was 11 and he was 9, and yeah, I wasn't super pumped to be a big sister to a 9-year-old boy.
Right.
However,
Overnight.
yeah,
And you
overnight.
moved into his house? Did you move into his house on his turf?
He moved into my house.
Oh.
Yeah, no, yeah, moved into my house. But that
Ooh-wee.
wasn't even that wasn't even dramatic, honestly. Um, we just had different interests. He was into
Yeah.
like WWE, okay, and I was into Saved by the Bell, and our our interest didn't combine, but we over time we did become kind of friendly. And
Yeah.
what was unfortunate is that my dad's marriage to his mom, it didn't last. They
Oh.
divorced when I was a senior in high school.
Oh, okay.
I came
Right.
home one night from work at the mall, and they were gone. They had
Golly.
moved out of my house.
Man. Isn't that crazy? That's just so weird. It's strange, isn't it? I don't know. That's
It
so weird.
was,
Yeah.
and and that was hurtful for me. But I got a phone call, saying, "Hey, here's where we're at. You got to play. You can come stay with us here if you want." My stepmom. I'll say this: my dad married wonderful women who
Wonderful. Yeah.
loved me,
Yeah.
and two of them, the one before Hamp's mom and the one Hamp's mom, they they were my moms, They raised me. They loved me. They probably loved me more than they loved my daddy.
Yeah.
Um, what can I say? I'm so lovable. But no, honestly, I had wonderful stepmoms, and I don't have any regrets in the relationships that I built and still have with them.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
never got divorced. My
Yeah.
daddy got divorced. So
Right.
Hampton is my brother.
That's such a mature way to look at things, and just have that perspective. And most people don't. Most people kind of they feel shorted or angry or whatever. And you.
Front and center in my life.
Wow. Wow.
And I think that was God's plan from the beginning.
Right.
Um,
Right.
could I have seen that at age 11?
No.
Absolutely not. So what there's so much history that I can't talk about that would take too much time. We don't have time enough in a podcast to cover the time in between him becoming my brother
Yeah.
and what it eventually ended up happening. But um, I, as we alluded to earlier, married a fantastic guy, had a
Yeah.
couple of kids, moved to South Louisiana, have a fantastic life here. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, my little brother, he had a life, two kids, ended up divorced, single dad, and living with his mom, who ended up widowed. She married another man. She was a widow as well. So it was Hampton and his mom and two kids
Right.
trying
Okay.
to get by.
Yeah.
They had formed a unit and were doing their best.
Right.
But life
Gotcha.
wasn't easy. He was working to support all of them, and he wasn't living the healthiest life because he was working as many hours as he could.
Right.
He was eating not the best diet, and he
Right.
was drinking Dr. Pepper, never water. Always Dr. Pepper. Um,
Uh,
but and that lifestyle and that level of stress that he was under trying to keep everything together
yeah.
ended up with him having a health crisis in 2023, or was it 24? Yeah, a couple of years ago.
I think it
Uh,
was. Yeah.
he got sick, and he was struggling. He thought he was sick. He thought he had a respiratory infection.
Right.
And I knew about that. He called me. He said, "I'm sick. I'm not feeling well." And I was like, "Okay, cool." It was not too long. COVID was a thing, and so I was thinking, "Oh gosh, he's probably got COVID." So he ends up at the hospital, and I keep waiting for. He had an autoimmune disease that he didn't know
Okay.
about
Oh.
until
Okay. Okay.
all of this came together.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's usually kind of how it is. It's like all these symptoms, and you have to peel back, several layers of an onion to get to like the root of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took a little while. He was in the hospital for several days before it was determined what was actually wrong with him. And he was so defeated when I finally got to speak to him. He said, "The doctors told me I'm going to die." And yeah, they told him that. They told him he was going to die if he didn't have dialysis. They said dialysis is the only thing that's going to continue your life. If you don't start dialysis 3 times a week, then that's it. You're going to die. So, of course, he
I have,
immediately started
I have a
dialysis.
few notes.
He didn't have a
I have a
choice.
few notes, and if you don't, I can ask a few questions kind of in between. So
Please.
he was diagnosed. The big kind of like the big crisis was March the 10th, 2024, when you were in
Mhm,
church, right? That was when,
mhm.
and how many months of like tests and things did they need to try to figure out that he had this, severe stage 5 kidney disease?
So it was all within a week once he was
Okay.
admitted through the
Yeah.
ER.
Okay.
The ultimate test was that they did the doctors did a,
Hopefully, like, somehow, somebody shows up that matches with you and you can get a kidney.
yeah, well,
Is
actually,
that,
they
is
don't
that kind of the
well,
story?
pretty much, but that's a very compressed version, because in the beginning, you just get on to dialysis, because getting onto the transplant list isn't an automatic. For people who are in kidney failure, you have to qualify. If you're a certain age, if your health is not good enough, if
Right.
there's a whole lot of qualifications to even be considered to be put on a transplant list. So he
It
was put he
it, it
started
said
dialysis in March,
okay.
but he
Okay.
didn't make it onto the list until, I believe, it was October.
Oh my. So he's going to dialysis 3 times a week, just doing this, hoping and wishing that he would just get on the list. Because here's kind of where I'm going. I'm like, okay, so he's super sick and he needs a kidney transplant, but he's got to be healthy enough with these particular things to
Yes.
qualify.
There are so
Is
many
it?
people
Am
who
I
find out
catching
they
like a
have
catch?
kidney disease,
Well,
and
catch
then the
22.
unfortunate part is they find out, oh, I'm not even qualified to get a kidney because I'm too old, or I'm too sick, or I have a comorbidity of some sort. Yeah. So, but the crazy part is Hamp was about the healthiest kidney prospect there is. Young,
Okay.
relatively. When he went to dialysis, he was the youngest man in the room, the healthiest looking person
Right.
in the room. Other people, he's looking around, most of them, unfortunately, have an additional disease. They have usually diabetes.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
people who
Okay.
need kidneys
Yeah.
also need a liver transplant because they have diabetes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's in this
Golly.
room looking around,
I
and
know the feeling.
he's the
That's kind of
youngest,
how I felt.
he's the healthiest guy. And for the follow-up care after you get your transplant. Um, Hampton's a kind of a private person. He doesn't have this huge network of people around him.
Right. Right. Okay.
Doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't
Right.
have a wife. He's got his mom, he's got his kids, and he called on me and he said, "Can you do this for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So
Right.
I'm 3 hours away, and I drive up and I go to his appointments with him. And at the very first one, the the doctor looks at me and says, you know, she looks at him and says, "Do you have any potential living donors who would want to test?" And then they look at me like,
Like you got the pressure?
"Yeah,
Whoa.
not
Oh, so
from
you're like,
him, but from
I'm
the
doing this
doctor."
favor for my brother,
Like
driving up here how many times a
I
week,
was
and
like,
then
"Wait a
all of a
second, but
sudden it's like you
I'm
get the
his
guilt trip.
sister. I'm not biologically related to this man,
Oh,
and I'm also
right,
here as
right.
his advocate. Like he's got to.
Yeah.
But what I learned is that so most transplants come from deceased donors.
Right.
Deceased donors come from extremely tragic situations, mostly car accidents, honestly.
Right.
Unexpected deaths of very healthy people who are brain dead.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, that's the sad side that nobody really talks about out loud about organ transplants.
Right.
Okay. There's a lot of organs you that can only come from that situation. Hearts, corneas. But fortunately, there are organs, the kidney and the liver, can be donated from a living donor.
That's way better, right?
So much better. Yeah.
Right.
You can live with one kidney. You can live with a piece of your liver taken away. And so I started learning about that after I got that side eye from the doctor, like, hey, you're in this room with this guy. You must care about this brother of yours. And I was like, yeah. My brother never, not one time, asked me to
Right.
consider donating.
Right. Right.
He had other family members who he talked to about it, but they had their own medical issues that they were worried about. Okay,
Sure.
and it's extremely personal decision. So I
That he had the medical crisis. He waited until October to get on the list. Okay, to kind of fill in the gap for us a little bit. On that and like when you became the patient advocate, and then when you started looking into, like donors and what they do and some of that stuff, and then lead us into these misconceptions that people have, right? Because I feel like people just they hear like third or fourth, they don't even know, right? So
yeah.
go for it.
So secretly, it started right away.
Oh, okay, okay. In your mind, in your head.
No, I mean, and literally.
Right. Okay.
So I had my first appointment to go with Hampton as his advocate in October. We had a family wedding that we were at the weekend before, and it was at this beautiful. And I know this doesn't. This is part of. I mean, it is part of. It's part of my story. I we were at this beautiful spot. There's this pond. I was waiting for all the wedding activities to start, but we were all staying in this like Airbnb, and I had some time to kill. Okay, so
Yeah.
I got all this stuff on my mind about my brother, and I decided to take a little walk and listen to some music. And I'm walking around this pond and was thinking, so when Hamp got sick, he had to change his entire lifestyle. He had huge changes because he was committed to staying alive.
Right.
And and also it dawned on me that, like, wait a second, if this can happen to him, this could happen to me.
Bit of
So
reality
why
check,
don't I
right?
just
Yeah.
go ahead and get healthier? I have kids too. I want to stay alive for them.
Yeah.
Um, so I had changed my lifestyle starting back in March, and then all of a sudden it's October. But
Okay.
I'd gone to an annual physical with my doctor
Right.
and did all my blood work and labs, and I got my results right before I went for my first visit with Hampton for his first
Right.
transplant doctor visit. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I had all this information about my health,
Yeah.
and it was amazing, like as amazing as it can be for a 40 something year old woman, right?
Yeah.
It
That's
was
awesome.
like nothing in the danger range. Nothing was high. Nothing was, oh, let's watch out for your cholesterol. No, nothing. And even a few years before, it had been like, oh, your liver enzymes are a little high, or your just watch your cholesterol. Maybe eat a little less fried
Yeah.
food. None of that. Everything was normal.
Right.
Everything
You
was
were told you were good and healthy because you had
right.
changed your diet and started exercising a little bit and lost weight and got in
Yeah,
shape and felt good and looked good and your
I
lab
lost
test
about
showed that.
20
Yep.
pounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Wow.
I brought my
You.
BMI down to a normal range,
Yeah.
and all my test results were glowing. And I wasn't even doing that for a reason that I knew of. I was just doing it solidarity.
Right. To support him. Yeah.
Okay, but that weekend, that day at the pond before
Yeah.
the wedding, when I'm just walking around thinking about my brother and what I'm about to go do, it was so beautiful that day. There were butterflies, and I don't know how many, like so much wildlife. It was just so picturesque and so, I don't know how to say it, but
It sounds like you were walking to the Garden of Eden.
kind of, I don't know. I'm walking around this beautiful pond,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about life, and I'm thinking about the stuff I'm about to go do with my brother, and I just had a slight realization, a whisper in my head that said, "Hey, Susan, what if what if you got healthy more more than just for yourself? What if there's more to it? What if you could do something else?"
So little
And
little
so
little seed
just a
just
tiny
dropped
little
in.
thought,
Yeah, yeah.
because I knew that there's a program. There is a situation where if you don't have a genetic match to someone for a kidney donation, you can do something called a parent exchange. Because, of course, I'm a reader, I'm an absorber of media. As soon as all of this started happening with my brother, I started learning about everything I could. Okay.
Okay.
And I learned about parent exchanges. The way a parent exchange works is if you have a willing donor, a willing living donor, and someone else, could be anywhere in the country, has also has this situation where they don't match with the person who they want to give a kidney to. You can pair up if you match with them. So I started thinking, what if
Right.
what if I start testing and I find out that I'm healthy enough to enter a paired exchange for Hampton?
What that does is it gives you more options, right?
It
Instead of
does.
just a one-to-one, it can give you better chance for him to get a kidney, right? That's the whole plan, the thing, isn't it?
It can guarantee that your donor or that your recipient receives a donation, but it also can set off a really cool thing, a chain reaction of donors, because it takes a lot of different matches. So
Okay.
sometimes it's like sometimes one of these, and this didn't happen in our circumstance, but I've read about situations where paired exchanges end up in triggering a chain reaction of multiple
Right.
recipient
So you
donors.
could have 7 or 8 different people kinda changing everything around, and at the end of it, everybody kinda gets a kidney,
And
so to speak.
I can't even imagine being part of something like that. But
Sounds
that's
crazy.
so that's what I started considering
Wow.
is
Okay.
what if I'm healthy enough that they'll take my kidney
Right.
and give my brother somebody else's. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so I started thinking about that. So I left this
Okay.
wedding and I drove up to my brother's house for his first appointment where he needed the advocate, me, to be with him. And that night I couldn't sleep. I
Okay.
was awake and just thinking about him, situation, and the reading about the fact that when you when a transplant recipient receives a deceased donor organ, that organ doesn't it's not as good as receiving a live donor organ. Um,
Well, it to me, you think about like a heart or a brain that hasn't gotten oxygen completely for a few minutes. It's like 3 minutes for your brain, right?
yeah.
And so, yeah, it just kind of makes sense that maybe it's not as healthy as you
Yes.
would want it to be, but it's better than nothing, right?
You take it if it's
Yeah,
option. Yeah,
absolutely.
but the life expectancy is shorter
Oh, okay. Can you give us a
because
little?
a lot
Can
of times because there's a delay in finding a match, because when this happens, it's unexpected. You gotta find somebody that it matches with. Someone who is an organ donor,
right?
it's a miracle and it's wonderful, but they die and then they have to find a place for each of these organs to go. That takes time, and every minute counts. The longer that
Right.
organ's not connected
Literally.
to someone's body, it is a detriment. Okay. And
Yeah.
so the best circumstance for someone who needs a kidney or a liver is to have a donor who's alive. So
Could you is I mean, do you know kind of any stats kind of in general about like getting a say a deceased kidney versus a living one? Is there kind of a little bit of a rough comparison you could give us to kind of understand that?
Live recipient organs definitely have a longer life expectancy, but there's so many factors that come into play with any recipient, any donor transplants, because of once an organ is transplanted into someone, there's a lot of immunosuppressants. They have to take immunosuppressants for life.
Right.
Okay, and so and also. Whatever the factor was that made the organ fail to start with may still be in play. So if that's an autoimmune disease, if that's something that's going to come back, it's going to attack that transplanted organ again. So it's really hard to say that it's X amount better than a deceased donor, but it's definitely better. I just can't quantify it, and
okay.
I don't think
fair enough. Either. I
really don't.
It makes sense.
Also, there's these crazy outlier stories of. So a transplant center may tell you that your organ's going to last an average of 10 years.
Okay.
But then if you go looking for it, you'll see people who've got transplanted organs that have lasted their whole lives. So
wow. Yeah.
I have no idea how long my kidney is going to last, but and I say I have no idea how long his kidney is going to last in his body. I hope it's forever. I hope it's defy all the odds, because they're broken all the time. All these odds, these averages don't mean anything to me, because it just really depends on your individual situation and factors. But moving along in my story,
you know what? I just a little time check here. We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, I need to move fast.
Now here's the deal. I don't want to rush you, and I think that in the next 10 minutes or so, we should kind of find a stopping point to wind down, and then you know what? I think we'll just reset everything and go for another hour, or just however long, right? Because it's not going to do justice to try to squeeze everything in the next 57 minutes. I don't feel right about that. So if you're good with that,
that's fine. Tonight, or are we going to do it another day?
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna what we'll do is we'll kind of take a halftime, okay? And I'll set everything back up, and it'll take about 50 minutes, and we'll just roll back and just keep going.
Gotcha. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah. If you're good with that, yeah.
Let's aim to get to the point where where I found out that I could be a donor to Hampton.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Here's where the miracle starts, really.
Okay. You're on the countdown. You got 9 minutes. Okay.
Gotcha. I can do it. Yeah.
Sweet. Easy peasy.
So I went to that first appointment with him.
Yeah.
And the doctor asked me that, doctor kind of gave me that side eye. You don't have anybody who wants to donate? And I'm like,
man.
Me? You talking to me? Honestly, I had already started thinking about it. But I didn't tell my brother. That night that I couldn't sleep, I got online, started looking up information about paired donation.
Okay.
Started learning about it. And for anybody who's listening, who's in this situation, the first place I would recommend going is the National Kidney Foundation. The National Kidney Registry, NKR, that's in the U.S. There are similar organizations outside of the U.S. So if you're listening from another country, there's a similar resource for you. In the United States, the National Kidney Registry is an organization that is a nonprofit, but also hospitals can join into this network to allow people to register and begin testing to donate an organ. You can do that if you have someone in mind that you want to donate to. You can also do that. And there are these amazing people out there who I've met them who want to do it without a directed donor. They want to give an organ to a stranger. Okay, and so the National Kidney Registry is amazing for specifically for those people. Those
Okay.
people who don't have a person in mind that they want to donate to, I would 100% say go to the National Kidney Registry, start the process there. That's what I did because I didn't know some stuff when
Right.
I did it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I don't have any regrets starting there though, because when I started there, they give you a lot of information. They start the blood testing in your hometown at local places, LabCorps, places like that. You just
Right.
go do some blood
Yeah.
work,
Perfect.
easy peasy. You do what you need to do to find out if you're healthy by their standards for what they need from a kidney standpoint. Okay,
Okay.
so I started doing that. I started. I signed up. Then I went to that appointment with my brother. I hadn't done any blood work yet, but after I left that appointment with him, I kept going down this pathway. What I learned is that his hospital was not part of the National Kidney Registry organization. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, so
So what does that mean? You're out or what?
not exactly. Actually, they were still really helpful for me. They had already
Okay.
assigned me a mentor. They had already assigned me a very sweet person named Emily who called me on the phone and talked to me about my situation and told me about her experience and what she'd been
Wow.
through. And even though I ended up not donating through a hospital in their network,
Okay.
she talked to me throughout the whole process. She was
Right.
there for me.
Yeah.
So I would say start there for anyone who has that kind of interest.
Right.
But where we at? Where's our time at?
We got it. We got about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. So I would start there. I would say um, visit that website, whether if you're in the situation where you're considering being a donor, that's a great place. There's a lot of resources, there's a lot of answers there. And that's what I did. What I found out was my little brother's hospital was not part of that network.
Okay.
He so there's a lot of hospitals in the United States that do transplants, but not as part of that network.
Okay.
So I had to leave that path, and I had to directly interact with his hospital. And so in doing that, I had to keep a secret from him. I had
Oh,
to
okay.
call his hospital and say, I want to be considered as his donor. But
Right.
don't tell him
So he still has no idea.
no.
Wow. Okay.
So they
Ooh, the pressure and stress you must be dealing with.
look, I didn't want to add to his level of stress. He was
Right.
already so stressed that like I can't even explain how stressed. Like the man thought
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
he was gonna die.
I know.
You've been there, Trent.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
No, I
Oh,
mean like so the least I could do was keep him from
right.
getting his hopes up,
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Right. Yeah.
and so that's why I kept it a secret, and I kept it a
Yeah.
secret
Good for you.
until the end, until I absolutely
Yep. Do
the
you
very
do?
end.
Yeah. God,
And
that must have been
so
so hard.
yeah, it was very hard.
Can't
Um,
imagine.
but once I realized that I had needed to switch paths and not work through the National Kidney Registration, I
Okay.
needed to work with his individual hospital.
Right.
So for people who are listening who have someone who's a recipient in mind, find out about their hospital. You don't even have to you don't have to tell your recipient that you're considering donation
Right.
until you want to. Your
Right.
medical information, your desire to donate is a secret until you don't want it to be a secret anymore.
God, I think
And
that's
that's
just
something important
priceless.
that people
Yeah.
need to know.
Priceless
Um,
advice. I think that's really, yeah, the way to do it.
yeah. I, well, and some people may want to give. It just depends on the you know your
Right.
person.
Exactly.
I knew my brother, and I
Yep.
knew that he didn't need one. ounce of additional stress.
Yeah.
And so I kept it from him.
Yeah.
And it was such a wonderful thing and a beautiful experience to get to tell him eventually that there was a plan and that things were going to work out.
Oh
And
my
so I guess we
God.
can tell that part in part 2.
Yeah. Let's do that, guys. So, hey, you know, I've only known this once or twice before, but hey, this is just crazy, inspirational story. And we have Susan Allardyce becoming God's vessel. Okay. This is part 1. We're going to take a halftime or take a little break. Okay. And we're just going to start this thing back up in about 10 minutes. I gotta kind of reset everything and load everything back up. That takes a few minutes for me to do. And we'll be back. It's 7:42 right now. Okay. Let's aim for 8 o'clock where we're going to be back on live. You and I'll be about 5 minutes before that, and be ready to rock, and we'll do that. Sound okay?
Sounds great. I can't wait to finish the story. I think please come back and
Oh,
listen. There's
oh
there's
yeah,
so much more I want to explain
yeah,
about the process.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into the juicy part next, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, super cool, super cool. Okay, Susan. Hey, thank you so much so far. God, opening your heart and your life and your home and your world to us and sharing that with us. It's been so good. And man, hey, part 2's coming. Okay, guys. Hey, just a little bit of a mini. God bless, Godspeed, and never forget the grit don't quit. That's just a quick one because you know I always do that to wrap up the show, but this is just a break. So, hey, smash that, like, subscribe, share, send it to somebody that you know that needs this, okay? And we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, over and out.